Hey there, welcome back to CMTEQ channel in this tutorial on power system fundamental. In the previous tutorial, we spoke about understanding the generator reactive power capability curve. Now in this tutorial, we're going to clarify an important point that came up from that tutorial, which basically means it will be great if you've watched the previous tutorial, because what we learned from that tutorial is going to enforce what we want to clarify in this particular tutorial. Now in the previous tutorial, I explained the reactive power capability curve using the synchronous generators, rotors, excitations, and magnetic field. But as you can see in this model, clearly this model includes PV plants which have no excitations or rotating masses like in the case of the generator. So the key question here is, how can we talk about generator capability curves when the plant is an inverter-based plant? Now the most important thing to understand is this. The reactive power capability curve that we see here is basically the same across different type of electrical power source, even though the physics that create it is different. Here's what I'm trying to say. From the point of view of the power grid, both the generator and the PV plant, or the PV inverters if you want, they are devices, both of them are devices that inject active power into the grid, inject or absorb reactive power into the grid, okay? And they must have hard limits, both of them, okay, on how much they can do simultaneously. Basically, from the generator perspective, how much active power or reactive power it can inject or absorb at the same time. That's where the capability curve comes into play. This is why power system standard treats them in similar way using the P and Q envelope that we explained in the previous tutorial, even though they work very differently. That's what we're going to just quickly review here. Now let's briefly recap the synchronous generators case. I'm just going to go ahead and double click on the generator load flow, and we've got the capability curve here. Now we know that the synchronous generator has basically two independent controls. We've got the mechanical torque, which basically set the active power, and we've got the DC excitation current in the rotor, which sets the reactive power. Now, as we saw in the previous tutorial, when excitation is increased, we know that the generator becomes over-excited, okay? Way too excited, and at that time it supplies reactive power to our power system grid. And when the excitation is reduced or the generator becomes under-excited, at that time it's now start to absorb reactive power from the grid. But if we can just open the capability curve again, the excitation cannot be increased or reduced indefinitely without control. This is where the limits come in, the envelope. The limits basically they come from the rotor current heating, the stator current heating, stability, and end region heating at low excitations. And obviously, from the perspective of the active power, we also have the prime mover limits. This means you cannot produce active power which is rated above the capability of your prime mover, basically the mechanical power that's coming through your generator. So all of these conditions that I just mentioned combined, they what basically form the classic curve of the generator capability envelope. Now let's look at the PV system here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and open this particular PV, and we've got our capability curve here. We've got our limits. Now, as we know, PV plants, they've got no moving parts, right? They are no rotor, no excitation, windings, no magnetic field control, like in the traditional sense as we know it. Okay, instead everything is happening inside here, inside the hybrid inverter, the grid connected solar inverter, or just the hybrid inverter as a solar plant. Now, as we know, inside the PV plant or PV inverters, what we have in there is power electronic systems that's doing the job there. Okay, so this means the inverter controls current electronically. Okay, so it decides how much current contribute to active power and how much current must be used to contribute to the reactive power. But where does the limits come from? Well, it's an electronic system. Okay, so which means the inverter has the maximum current rating. Let's say this is a 10 kilowatt PV inverter, so 10 kilowatt will have its maximum rating current. Okay, where are the other limits coming from? We've got semiconductors limit, like these inductors, these capacitors, this MOSFET or the power MOSFET, the IGBT that they might be using in the inverters. All of these electronic components, they've got limits. On top of that, they've got thermal limits, how hot they can get before they break. So you can't just draw unlimited amount of current from them. Okay, and obviously the inverter will also have its MVA rating. Okay, that's the maximum power it can supply, combining the reactive power and the active power. So those are what actually enforcing the capability curve limits in the perspective of a PV plant here. So which means in practice, if the inverter is already delivering a lot of active power into the grid, okay, if it's already supplying plenty of active power to support these loads here, there's going to be less current headroom available for reactive power support, and that is vice versa. This is why preferably you want a system that will draw more active power, because that is usable, and less reactive power. By the way, if you find this tutorial useful, please make sure you drop a thumbs up and subscribe to CMTEQ channel. That will be highly appreciated. You are also more than welcome to share this tutorial onto your social media network. And having said that, all these will basically leads to a simple but very powerful constraint, that is that P square plus Q square reactive power must be less or equal to S square, and this is S rated. So your PV inverter or your reactive or your generator rated MVA, apparent power, okay, is basically the sum of active power plus reactive power, as we all know. This equation alone is basically what creates the capability curve. Now, when it comes to the capability curve from the PV inverter perspective, it may be smoother, okay, more smooth and more symmetrical than the capability curve of a synchronous machine, but the idea is identical. For a given active power, there is a maximum and minimum reactive power the device can provide or can handle. So even though the mechanism here is electronics, as we've shown, okay, rather than the magnetic excitation systems, the grid sees both of them, the generator and the PV inverters, coming with the same limits. That's basically the bottom line. So this is why when modeling in PowerFactory, you're going to see exactly the same type of capability curve, whether you are opening a generator, PV inverter, or you opening a synchronous machine. And the same will apply with the wind turbine. So if you stay tuned onto CMTEQ channel, in the coming tutorial, we're going to be covering the wind turbine and many other renewable energy systems, and we're going to see in those tutorials that the capability curve envelope will basically be similar to the one for the generators and the PV plant that we are seeing here. So from the perspective of distributed generators, that the standard only look at the point of common coupling here, the PCC, where you're bringing in your generators and your PV plants connecting at this particular PCC. Your grids basically only cares about what it sees here, okay, what you need to supply there in terms of the limitations. So it doesn't care whatever the PV plant or the synchronous machine is doing to handle that. That is not the grid's problem. The grid just want to make sure that the plant or the synchronous machine here can inject or absorb reactive power within the defined envelope safely and predictably. That's what the grid is waiting to see from both these elements. Just in closing, one line to keep in mind is that different technology but same grid responsibility, and that's basically why the capability curves matter for every one of them. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you find this tutorial useful. If you have, please make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe to CMTEQ channel for more power system fundamental tutorial. Until next time, cheers.